Listen to the radio program about marathon running.
Hello and welcome back to UKL Radio. With me in the studio is Mike Green. He's here to talk about the increasingly popular pastime of marathon running. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Lynn.
So, Mike, how many marathons have you run so far?
I think it was 11 at the last count.
Goodness me, you must be a glutton for punishment. So, what's your best time so far?
My PB is 3 hours, 4 minutes. I'm aiming to run the next one in under 3 hours. That's really what motivates me. I find the marathons give me something to focus on during my training, especially as I'm trying to improve my time.
Have you always been a runner?
Yes, but intermittently. I ran regularly at school and university, but stopped when I started work. Then, about 6 years ago, I suffered back problems as I'd put on a few kilos and had got rather portly, so I took up regular exercise again. At first, I was just running 2 kilometres on the treadmill, and it was exhausting. However, I built up the distances slowly and started running outside.
Do you have a professional trainer?
No, I don't. I've done some research online and read a few magazines. I just do what works for me.
And what is that exactly?
Well, I run an average of 60 kilometres a week. I do 1 long run, 2 shorter runs, and one day I focus on speed with interval training or negative splits. That's where you cover the second half at a faster pace than the first half. I also do a couple of recovery runs to relax the muscles. I run outdoors whenever possible, as I find it more challenging than the treadmill.
Sounds like a lot to me. Do you do that right up until marathon day?
Once you get into the habit of running, it actually becomes quite addictive, so it's almost easier to run than not run. I usually have a tapering off period in the week before a race. That allows the muscles to rest up and give a good performance when it matters.
What about nutrition? Do you follow any special diet?
No, not really. However, I have become aware of the glycemic index, and I do try to eat more foods that contain a low to medium GI, such as vegetables and some fruits, rather than potatoes, pasta and pastries. There's a common belief that carbohydrates are essential for athletes as they provide energy and glucose to replace the glycogen lost during exercise. This is true. However, some carbs increase the glucose level rapidly and provide a short burst of energy, whereas others release the glucose more slowly over a longer period of time. As I'm running long distances, I'm more interested in slow release energy, and this comes from foods with a lower GI index.
Right, I must look that up. What about liquids?
It is important to keep hydrated while you run. You're recommended to drink about 200 millilitres of liquid every 20 minutes. The good thing with marathon races is that there are drink stations, so you don't have to carry lots of liquid on you. I personally don't consume sports drinks, as I don't think the added sugar is necessary. I stick to water.
Do you run the same marathons every year?
No, that's the beauty of it. My first marathon was in Edinburgh. I stayed with some friends and made a long weekend of it. The following year I chose the Paris and Istanbul races. They were both places I wanted to visit, and the Paris one was at Easter and the Istanbul one in November, so they were well spaced out. I went for long weekends and did some sightseeing, tried the local food and so on. In fact, while you're running the race, you see all the main sights of the city. The Paris course is excellent. You pass all the top attractions. The Arc de Triomphe, the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower and so on. In Istanbul, you start in Asia and finish in Europe.
So it's your version of sightseeing, is it?
Absolutely. Much better than an open-top bus.
Excellent. Do you run for a charity?
I did the first marathon to raise money for a local charity, but now I just run for myself. I think people would get a bit fed up if I kept asking them to sponsor me.
And what's next?
Well, I'm doing the Madrid Marathon soon. It's particularly tough as the last 10 kilometres are mainly uphill, so that should be a challenge. Then I'm hoping to do my first ultra-marathon.
Ultra-marathon? What's that?
It's 100 kilometres, as opposed to the 42 kilometres of a marathon. I'm looking at the London to Brighton run. I will probably look for sponsorship for that one, as it's more demanding.
Well, that's all very interesting. I wonder if you're really...